Hey everybody, this is Brad
I'm Christa.
from the Big Family Homestead, and I hope you guys are excited and ready for an awesome Homestead Friends tonight. We have Tommy and Patty from Alderman Farms. How are you guys doing this evening?
Great.
Great.
Glad to be here. Appreciate you having us.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Guys, I got to tell you what, we were just chatting off air about how many channels that you stumble across and you're like, how come I never knew about these people?
Right.
They've got a bunch of great content. They've been out there doing it for a long time, and yet I never connected the dots. And I got to tell you, folks, Alderman, their channel, this is one of those channels where you're like, how come I never knew about them?
Right.
So, Tommy, why have I never not known about you, bro? Why?
I don't know. Beats me. It's not because we hadn't been trying.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, and maybe it's that hat that you have on your head. I know Mike the Tiger, he's very, very passionate about that. And I did look into a lot of your stuff, and you're a very big LSU fan, yes?
Yes. Went to school there. Graduated in 1986.
With a degree in?
A Bachelor of Arts in English, creative writing.
Interesting.
That
And
is
so,
it.
and so then I became a police officer, of course.
Well, that just goes without
They
saying.
go hand
Yeah.
in hand. Right. Definitely.
And what goes without saying is I wrote very effective police reports.
Excellent.
Detailed, I'm sure.
My lieutenant hated to see me coming with a police report.
So, Patty, how did you meet this guy? Tell me, what is the story behind this?
Well,
He pulled you
I met him at the police station.
What? Was it a ticket? He's like, you come in here or else I'm going to throw away the key, right?
Excellent.
No, I actually had a friend that worked at the police station, and she kind of told me about him, and I went up there to see what she was talking about.
Oh, check out the goods.
Yeah.
Yeah, needless to say, it didn't work out like the friend thought it was.
No.
Well, you guys have made quite a lot of videos and content centering around everything I can think of that we're into, whether it's, farming, homesteading, all kinds of animals and how to grow this and how to process that. Why did you start doing this if you were a police officer?
Yeah.
We both grew up in Baker, Louisiana, which is a little small suburb of Baton Rouge. Basically, it's its own city. And that's where I was a police officer for most of my career at the city of Baker. And so I grew up as a neighborhood kid. So did she.
Yeah.
My mom and dad are Depression era folks, and they moved from up here to the Baton Rouge area after World War II. My mom and dad never grew. I never saw my parents. No kidding. Never saw them grow a single tomato. My mom grew azalea bushes, but that was it. One of our neighbors had a little garden all the time, and I remember one time I was a teenager, maybe older, and asked my dad, how come you never grow any tomatoes? And he put his newspaper down and he said, boy, I've planted the last thing I'm ever going to plant. Recalling back to the Depression. It was not fun for them, and very little reward, during those times. So it was nowhere within me to do this. But Patty's father, Patty lost her dad at an early age, and some of her fondest memories were like camping and doing things of that nature.
Yeah. My daddy, he lived from New Jersey back and forth to Louisiana. And so he was more of a city boy. I always loved the country and dreamed of living in the country. We had a garden and everything. And so I guess, he gave me that love just of the outdoors. And, I grew up with the woods right behind my house that we were able to play in. It was subdivision, but it was still, little woods and everything. So
Her grandfather, who lived to be almost 107.
Yeah.
He was 106
right.
when he died. Pawpaw Mr. Rowe is what everybody called him. But he was Patty learned a bunch of her initial, wouldn't you say most of your initial body of knowledge about gardening and growing things?
Yeah, I would say so. He always gardened. He even had tomato plants growing outside his nursing home window when he died at 106. Yeah. And so, I was around that. We would go visit, and everything, and I'd see his garden. And I mean, he never has grass in his garden. He worked. He was a very, very hard worker. But anyway, yeah, that would be my first experience, I guess, especially as an older kid, in a garden that's around him.
But all of that stuff was probably sort of latent in Patty or dormant in Patty. The last place we lived in Baker before we moved up here, we had moved just outside the city on a 2.5 acre place. And right down the road from us lived Mr. Thomas Carl Stump Easley.
Yeah.
And if you've been on
stole one of my questions. That was one of
Yeah.
my questions. Tell me about Carl.
Oh my goodness! Well, everybody knew him as Mr. Stump.
Yeah, he was the maintenance man at the high school, so he knew everybody. Everybody knew him.
Everybody knew him. They did donkey basketball. Do you have any idea what that is?
No,
Donkey?
I've never heard of donkey.
Okay, well, that's another story, but that's a southern thing, I guess. Where basically they bring these trained donkeys into the high school gym, and they're trained to carry people to play, and you play basketball on the backs of these donkeys.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
You need
It's
to
hilarious.
Google that. Surely there's something on YouTube. They may not even do it anymore. It may have gone away. But Mr. Stump and Mr. Epperson, the former high school principal, they owned those donkeys together. But anyway, Mr. Stump knew everybody. Well, we lucked out. It wasn't luck. It was providence. It was the hand of God that put us, 2 doors down?
No,
3 doors
about
down?
3 to 5.
3 to 5 doors down from Mr. Stump. And he fell in love with Patty. Mr. Stump didn't have any daughters. He had some granddaughters. But Patty fell in love with him. And
he was a neat man.
He loved Patty because she didn't mind getting dirt under her fingernails. And to make a very long story reasonably short, he's the one that ignited the desire to become more self-sufficient. He
knew the old ways. We have video, the first video that Tommy ever put up had a set of corner posts without concrete. He learned that from Mr. Stump. I think about it when we did I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but when we just did a video about the Florida weave, I was tying off my rope at the end and everything, my string at the end. And, he's the one that showed me how to tie that knot. It's a simple knot, but you tie it where it don't come undone. It doesn't slip. And he just knew a lot of the old ways. I wish we could have gleaned more knowledge from him.
And he's gone, and I wish he was alive for lots of reasons, not the least of which, as Patty mentioned, our very first video back from March of 2012 on the Alderman Farms YouTube channel is one of our top 2 or 3, and we've got 380 something videos, and it's still one of our top 2 or 3. We've gotten emails from 15 or 20 different countries. It's amazing. One from Thailand, where these people said, "You have no idea how many people's lives you've affected who don't have access to concrete and never thought they could do fence, but now they can." I'm like, my goodness. And Mr. Stump would not believe how far his little old-timer tricks have reached literally around the world. I know exactly what he would say. He would say, "All."
Yeah.
That was his word, all.
But what was so neat about it, too, is Tommy, when he was worked at the Baker Police Station, he actually worked with Mr. Stump's son, Stan, which Stan's older than Tommy. He was your lieutenant or your sergeant.
He was one of my lieutenants while I was there.
And so, there was just a connection there all the way around. We still have contact with his son and daughter-in-law and then his grandkids and everything, too. So they get to appreciate our appreciation of Mr. Stump. So
when Mr. Stump died, a quick funny story to show you the relationship we had. When Mr. Stump died, my phone rang and it was Stan. And I've been known to sing at a funeral or two, and he said he needed to ask a favor, and I thought he was going to ask me to sing at the funeral, and I'd have been honored to do that. But he said, "Can you come get these goats?" None of them, could do anything with Mr. Stump's goats, and so I said I'd be honored to do that. So we actually had some videos, about bringing Mr. Stump's goats here and to provide a place for him, and they about whipped me because he didn't have collars on them or anything. And they didn't know me from Adam, and I had to drag them suckers 50 yards, and it was the grace of God. And it was about as hot as it is now.
Yeah. And that's what this day and time, that's what's so lacking, and that's what's so great about YouTube and about the community and everything, because you don't really find those relationships that much anymore. Had we not moved to Mr. Stump's road, he wouldn't have been there to help us figure out how to get a dairy goat and what to look for in dairy, how to milk a goat. If I'd have just moved, on another road there wasn't
Right.
an old timer that we kind of knew. So I mean that's lacking in today's society. Well, I mean they're dying off too. They're getting older. The people that know how to do this kind of thing.
Well, we actually had a Mr. Stump in our life, a guy named Shannon. We ended up trying to get a small piece of property in Indiana, and we did, by the grace of God. And this guy shows up on our doorstep one day, and I think he was pretty much looking for food.
I don't know. It's like, what are you doing here?
What are you guys doing here? And the thing is that we got this great relationship built up because he was just an old-time dude that knew how to do everything, and he would just be around, and we were buddies. But the thing was, he would come out of the blue and be like, you'd be getting ready to dig a hole, and he would say something like, why are you doing that? And he goes, you're doing it wrong. And it would always be like that. He would just give you just enough information, and then every time you'd meet him, he'd be like, why are you doing that? You're doing it wrong.
Well, that's the way Mr. Stump talked to me. He didn't talk to her like that.
But he was proud of you for learning, though.
He did tell me. He told me before he died that he was right proud of how willing I was to learn and all that. And I hope I don't get choked up, But in the day-to-day, that's the way he would talk to me. Like, what in the world are you doing? Why in the world would you do that, boy?
Exactly. I tell my friends, because I come from more of a technical background, being in recording studios, and kind of, we're new to this life, and we're learning. We're like sponges. We go to YouTube University.
Yeah.
But he'd be like, well, why aren't you double digging that hole? What do you mean double digging that hole? Why would I double dig a hole? Why would I ever dig it twice? I dug it once. What do I need to do it again for? And just that knowledge, and I think that's one of the really cool things about this community that is happening, is that the older ways are having a resurgence. Yes. People are waking up and going, wait a minute, if I couldn't get to the grocery store for a week, what would happen? Right. If I couldn't, have electricity for this amount of time, my life would look drastically different. And I love the fact that you guys are out there trying to get people aware and showing them, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. There are a multitude of things. But now, question for you. You guys produce a lot of food. More than you need, right?
We try.
How did you get there?
Well, I just see the need that that other people desire the same thing, that don't have the resources or the land. We have dairy goats. We have a cow. Of course, we can't sell our cow milk because it's illegal here in Mississippi, but we can sell our goat milk. We can sell eggs. I'm certified to be able to sell our eggs at the farmer's market. And the vegetables, I've brought it to the farmer's market and sold our excess and all. But we have a son that's 19, and he showed some interest in wanting to, help garden and help farm and everything. And so, I have planted extra to try and bring to the market. Of course, our tomatoes were kind of knocked down today. So I was going to...
And the snap beans.
Yeah.
We woke up to find a cow in the garden.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And she's looking at me like, what?
What? This is good. This tastes yummy.
This is a lot better than the stuff you normally give me.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just really kind of sickening this morning. But anyway, so I sold 25 pounds of snap beans at the market Friday. I think I brought 50 pounds one time. No, maybe not 50,
30.
but 30 pounds. But so it's just been a blessing. And like I said, I've sold my excess before, but I have actually tried to sell more, and I will continue to do the extra tomatoes and the green beans. I tried to do, and squash maybe too, but I've tried to do too much this year, and I can't do it. I mean, Tommy works a full-time job still, and it's too much.
Over the years, when we were in Louisiana and we started doing this stuff with chickens and vegetables and even goats, it was all for us.
Yeah.
And when we moved up here, for the first number of years, until the last 2 or 3 years, really, it was all for us. But Patty would have friends from church or whatever say, hey, if you got enough eggs, I want some. I'll buy some. Or we'd be talking about slaughtering some chickens, and as we just started really organically, no pun intended, organically networking with people, and they would say, well, if y'all do that again, I want some.
Well, and also you got to understand me too. Kind of a tightwad, and
Kinda.
I thought, well, if the chickens can pay for themselves, that's good,
Yeah.
And the first time we slaughtered our meat chickens, I always say we just broke even. Well, really, that's not true because my chickens were free.
Right.
So I guess we really did profit from that. So I started looking at things that way. That it paid. I've more than paid for my seeds this year. Plus, I'm learning to save my own seeds too. So the garden is more than paying for itself. And of course, the garden saves us money anyway. But to be able to make a little money for it, I'm paying. Really, during the summer months, we don't. The garden and the farmers market completely pays for all of our feed. Plus some. And that's the way I kind of look at things too, is to try and, love to make money off of stuff, but definitely pay for what we get to have too.
Yeah, because, in fact, it's in the thought process now, or in the thinking phase about a video or a video series about this concept of sustainability. You can define that lots of different ways. If you ask 10 people, what does it mean, you might get 10 different definitions. But financial sustainability is part of it. If what you're doing is not financially sustainable, it's not sustainable.
Right.
And so it all, reducing, and I know this will resonate with you guys, but reducing the number of inputs, where the things that you have to bring in from outside is all part of a sustainability formula. And so if it's not paying for itself, at least, it's not sustainable. So that's always kind of when we're evaluating things that we're doing with our little farm is it financially sustainable?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, one thing that I would like to make sure that everybody watching right now knows is that you guys, Alderman Farms, are the newest channel that we've added to the Homestead Network.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah, there you go. Get it, boy. Come on.
Oh, gosh.
That might be an official date.
We're going to have problems, I
Praise
think,
the
with these two.
You're lucky I'm not taking my shirt off. All right.
Don't do that.
No, but you guys are going to be actually coming on right before our channel on Sunday nights. And that's 6 o'clock Eastern to 7 o'clock Eastern. And I'll tell you what, I'm ready because we're going to get on there, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be nothing but spam. No, it's not going to be spam.
Well, we're mostly excited and not a whole lot scared.
No.
Oh, our
please,
folks
you
are
guys gonna
great.
love it.
Our folks are great. And
Well,
you guys are
we
not
expect
too
we're
far
going to
away.
need a lot of grace in the beginning as we get used to this, because we're new to the live thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to tell you what, you guys know Danny and Wanda from Deep South Homestead, right?
Well, not really. We've just recently connected. When I say recently, 30 minutes ago? No. I did a lot of clicking in the last day and a half to get connected through them to you guys, to find out about this awesome network, to say, man, we want to do that.
Yeah.
So
Danny
to say
and
we
Wanda,
know and really know.
Well, Danny and Wanda, when you find out about them, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the aunt and uncle that I always wanted to have for the mom and dad. They're I don't even know how to say it. They're like the MacGyvers of redneckdom.
Oh yeah.
They're
Great term.
amazing.
That's like a J-Noel.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
And they're not too far from you. That's why I for sure just assumed you would have known about them.
No, that's another example of what you were talking about earlier.
That's funny, but just go into the technical problems. They live in a very rural area where their internet service is spotty at best. But I'll tell you what, the viewers on this channel and the viewers that have been participating in the Homestead Network have been extremely gracious. Mm-hmm. And even though I think honestly, they've only had video on maybe half the time, it's cuts in and out. But everybody still has a good time. There's a really good rapport in the questions.
Yep.
And so I
Excellent.
know that people are just going to love it, and they're going to love you guys.
Well, that takes a load off. I appreciate that. And listen, we were right where they were here in our rural area. We had satellite internet,
Ooh.
which
My
is
gosh, that's
yeah.
so pricey.
Internet.
yeah,
I
it was
call it.
bad.
Well, let's see. What was my term? I made up for it. Information superhighway robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you have to
And-
pay by the megabyte? We did when we were.
Oh yeah, we had
Well,
a certain amount of data, and then you go over that, and they
Ugh.
charge you out the gang.
Yeah.
yeah, we had the maximum package, and there was never a month that went by that probably by the 20th day,
Yeah.
sometimes sooner, we had hit the limit. And so then I would have to buy, gigabyte. I would buy, and it was no sense in buying one, so I would buy 3 additional at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was awful. Well, our neighboring county, not even our county, our neighboring county, which is more rural than we are, but their telephone company had fiber. And by the grace of God, again, it's just providence, they decided to reach over into our county a little bit. They went, a couple of miles past
Just a
us?
few miles past us.
And so we just made the cut and got unlimited 100 megabit a second fiber internet. And so, my Mac is plugged in right now. I could do this over Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi, there's very little degradation. But I did a speed test before we got on here, plugged into my Mac, and I was getting 93 megabits up and down.
Wow.
93 megabits a second up and down.
And I just have to tell you, it was just very, very hard for him to wait to get it here. He knew the internet was coming or what. I'm not into all that. I don't know what all you call that stuff, but he was just like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, when I was at the end of my driveway.
Well, I had to tell him, leave those people alone. You're gonna aggravate them.
I was at the end of my driveway talking to my across the street neighbor, who is the best neighbor in the world, and
His name is Tommy too.
His name is Tommy also. So when my wife talks to his wife, they have to say, "You're Tommy, my Tommy, you're Tommy," and when the man came along to get us to fill out papers to agree to allow the fiber to come. I mean, I mockingly got down on one knee and grabbed his pant leg, and he just died laughing. And so, we're huge fans of theirs, and their tech support is superb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think weren't we talking earlier? Yeah, I was talking to you about issues we were having streaming the Facebook. Man, they fixed it for me within 10 minutes of finding out about it, and so we're tickled. But I know what it's like. I feel bad for them. I know what it's like. But maybe their neighboring county will run fiber to their house.
Well, Tommy and Patty, as we round out this interview for the evening, tell people who are just kind of sitting there going, I don't know, is this channel really going to be worth my time? Convince them, man. Here you go. Convince them as we round out the night.
Well, you're putting me on the spot there because I got to get used to this because my answer is I don't know. You'll have to decide. We will. I'll tell you this. Here's what you'll get. We've got 2 taglines. Alderman Farms, where pasture makes perfect. That doesn't mean we have perfect pasture. It means what that means is God knew what He was doing when He built animals, and they know what they need to eat better than man does.
That's right.
So we tried our animals to raise our animals as naturally as possible. The other part of our tagline is where life on the farm just got real. So we don't make anything up, and we're going to show you the good with the bad. I'll be posting a video later this evening. I've got to edit it about finding Honeybee, our Jersey cow, in the garden and what she did to our garden. And so we promise real life.
Yeah.
We promise there won't be any drama other than cows in the gardens. Cows with plastic chairs stuck on their heads. There won't be cursing and all that kind of mess. We love God. We love our country. We love each other. We love our family. We love our critters. And we just hope you'll come take a look and stick around.
And like we were talking about, it's just it's to give back. We've been so blessed. We've been blessed with the land we're on. We've been blessed in our marriage. We've been blessed with our animals. We've been blessed with our children. We've been blessed with people that has helped us along. And if we can help and give back, that's what we want to do. And I believe we have a lot to offer and a lot to give back.
Yeah. So We're on YouTube at Alderman Farms with no spaces or obviously no spaces, no hyphens or underscores or anything like that. Alderman Farms. In fact, we're Alderman Farms everywhere on social media. There is another Alderman Farms. Our website is .net. The other Alderman Farms, and get this, we don't know them, but obviously they're related, is an organic vegetable grower in Florida.
Funny.
Yeah, and they're huge and wildly popular, and we get emails from huge companies to them all the time.
We're like,
they're
Oh,
.com
no,
and
it's
we're
not us.
.net, but we're Alderman Farms everywhere on social media. Check us out and connect. We love to connect.
Yeah.
Awesome. And let's not forget that you are now at 6 o'clock on Sunday nights, Eastern Standard Time. So everybody, mark it down. Make sure that we get over to their channel and support them in the live Homestead Network.
And be nice. At least the first week. Be nice.
Oh, no. If you don't have at least 10 moderators, you're in trouble.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. Our crew is awesome.
Yeah.
And we're really glad to have you guys on. Patty and Tommy, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All
Our
right,
pleasure.
you guys have a great night.